When night falls, the darkness starts to speak. Between each breath and the silence, there are whispers no one was meant to hear. This is Night Whispers, where the dark has a story to tell. That summer felt strangely quiet, the kind of silence that hums before something happens. I was 17, home alone for the first time as my parents decided to take a rare trip away. The empty house seemed to breathe differently, every sound sharper, every shadow longer. I didn't know it then, but that weekend would change how I remembered home forever. It felt unreal, the whole house, mine, alone for the first time. My parents had never both left before, and freedom suddenly had a heartbeat. I texted MJ, my girlfriend back then, and told her to come over for the weekend. No rules, no parents, just us. It felt like our own little world, hidden inside those familiar walls. MJ had a spark that could turn the ordinary into something unpredictable. There was always a mischievous glint in her eyes, the kind that dared you to follow her lead even when you knew better. Maybe that was why we eventually fell apart. But that night, when she smiled and said she had an idea, I should have known something was coming. The moment MJ saw the pool glowing under the night sky, that familiar spark danced in her eyes. "Let's skinny dip," she said, grinning like it was the only right answer. I hesitated the neighbors the risk, but she laughed it off, insisting this was our once-in-a-lifetime chance. We'd swum together countless times before, but never crossed that line. For her, it was fun. For me, it was the start of something I couldn't quite name. I'd always been the polite, rule-following kind of kid, the one who played it safe. Even then, part of me hesitated, scolding myself for even considering it. But MJ's laughter was infectious, her energy impossible to resist. Before I knew it, we were both in the pool water, shimmering around us as our laughter echoed beneath the wide, starry sky. It was the kind of moment that only happens once: warm water, cool air, and the feeling that the world had paused just for us. The pool shimmered right outside the big bay windows of the living room. From where we were, the house looked almost like a glowing aquarium, every detail inside perfectly visible against the darkness beyond. It looked like a glowing dollhouse, small, perfect, and alive in the dark. Maybe that sounds odd, but the warm light inside made everything feel safe, almost comforting. Floating there, I felt like the house was watching over us, keeping us tethered to reality. But that illusion faded, quickly replaced by a quiet unease I couldn't quite explain. MJ was still talking, her voice echoing softly over the water, when my eyes drifted toward the windows, and I froze. There, on the far wall of the living room, a shadow flickered. It was faint, but unmistakably human, shifting as if someone was walking deeper inside. The air around me turned cold, and my heart began to hammer in my chest. Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I couldn't let MJ know yet. Leaning close, I whispered that we needed to get out of the pool now. She didn't ask why. Something in my tone told her enough. We climbed out quietly, water dripping in tense silence. I told her to hide in the pool house, kill the lights, and stay completely still until I came back. The mischief in MJ's eyes had vanished, replaced by a silent fear. I could see her trying to stay composed, though her breathing gave her away. She nodded once, then disappeared into the pool house without a sound. The night seemed to hold its breath. I opened the back door slowly, each creak echoing too loud, and stepped into the dim kitchen, determined to face whatever was waiting inside. My parents had always taught me to face things head-on, so that's what I did. I grabbed a kitchen knife and stepped carefully through the quiet house. Someone had been there, I could feel it. The air felt disturbed, wrong. Then I noticed a dining chair slightly pulled out, just enough to suggest someone had sat there not long ago. My pulse quickened, every sound suddenly louder than it should be. A picture frame hung slightly crooked on the wall. A coffee mug I never used sat on the counter, still damp inside. Little things too deliberate to be random, too strange for a simple break-in. My grip on the knife tightened as a chill ran down my spine. The thought crept in, quiet but heavy. Maybe this wasn't a robber at all. Maybe it was something or someone else. My heart was racing so fast it drowned out every other sound. I expected someone to jump out any second, but nothing came. I searched every room on the ground floor. All the doors were locked, every window sealed tight. It didn't make sense. If someone had been there, where did they go? With each step, my courage thinned, replaced by the cold weight of uncertainty. Eventually, frustration won over fear, and I called the police. They arrived, fast lights flashing across the empty yard. After a careful sweep of the house and garden, they found nothing, no broken locks, no footprints, no sign anyone had ever been there. One officer said I might have scared the intruder off, but deep down I knew that wasn't it. Something about it felt too quiet, too deliberate. By then, it was far too late to do anything else. The police left and MJ and I were too terrified to stay, yet we had nowhere else to go. We locked every door, shoved a dresser against the bedroom entrance, and tried to sleep. Sometime around 4 a.m., I woke to a sound that froze my blood, slow, deliberate creaks coming from the floorboards right above us. At first, I tried convincing myself it was just the house settling an old sound I'd somehow forgotten. But no, it was too clear. Someone was moving upstairs. Then came the slow, careful steps descending the staircase one at a time. My chest tightened, adrenaline flooding my veins. I reached for the kitchen knife I'd left on the nightstand, every nerve in my body on high alert. I told MJ to stay where she was and ran out of the room, heart pounding in my ears. I moved fast but quiet every step, heavy with dread. When I reached the front door, it stood wide open, swaying gently in the night air. Whoever had been inside was gone. I didn't call the police again. What was the point? I just locked every door and returned to bed, though sleep never came. The next morning, the reality sank in. Every single kitchen knife was gone, all of them. No ordinary thief would bother with something like that. Sure, a bit of cash, some watches, and a few gadgets were missing too, but it was the knives that chilled me. It felt deliberate, like whoever had been inside wasn't just stealing, they were trying to tell me something. I just didn't know what. Sometimes late at night, I still think about that shadow on the wall, the quiet steps, the missing knives, the feeling that someone was still there even after they were gone. Maybe it was just a break-in, or maybe it was something else entirely. Whatever it was, it left a mark. Some memories don't fade. They linger, waiting like a shadow that never really left. It's strange how ordinary nights can turn into stories you never forget. Last year, during Rowan University's famous Holly Bash weekend, a blur of music, lights, and laughter, I thought it would just be another carefree night. But sometimes the moments you least expect are the ones that stay with you forever. That night, the air was thick with summer warmth and the lingering sound of laughter. My friends and I lingered by the empty food truck, sharing the last fries and jokes under the dim streetlights. When they all left, I decided to take the long way back to my dorm, cutting through the quiet path behind Holly Bush Mansion, a shortcut I'd walked dozens of times before, but that night it felt different. I remember checking my phone 2:07 a.m. and slipping it back into my pocket. The campus was eerily quiet, just the hum of streetlights and the soft rustle of trees. Halfway down the path, I noticed a single bike lying on its side near the bushes. No rider, no sound. Just that bike spinning its front wheel lazily like someone had left it in a hurry. At first, I didn't think much of it. People crashed there all the time after parties. But something felt off. The person wasn't on their phone, wasn't asleep, just sitting completely still, facing the dark TV. Their hoodie was pulled low, hiding their face. As I passed, I muttered a quick "hey," but they didn't move. Not even a flinch. Just silence. My first thought was that it had to be some kind of prank, maybe part of the Holly Bash chaos. But the longer I looked, the less funny it felt. The guy's head slowly tilted toward me just a few degrees, like he'd been waiting. My stomach dropped. I didn't wait to find out more. I turned and started walking toward the stairs, pretending to stay calm. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it echo in the tiny bathroom. I pressed my ear against the door, praying I wouldn't hear footsteps following. For a few seconds, there was only silence, then the faint creak of the lounge floor. He was moving, slowly. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands, ready to call campus security, but even typing felt impossible. He was standing at the far end of the hallway, perfectly still, like he'd been waiting the whole time. The fluorescent lights flickered above him, making his shadow stretch unnaturally long across the floor. My breath caught in my throat. He didn't move, didn't speak, just tilted his head again, that same slow, deliberate motion. Every instinct screamed at me to run. I took a deep breath and forced myself to move forward. Each step echoed way too loudly, bouncing off the empty hallway. The guy didn't react, just watched me, his head tilting slightly as if amused. My hand shook, but I kept the pepper spray steady. When I got within 10 feet, he suddenly reached for something behind his back. I froze. I didn't aim or threaten him. I just showed that I had it, hoping it would be enough. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I walked past him. He didn't try to stop me. He didn't even flinch. It was like he wanted me to see him. Like the fear was the whole point. I didn't look back. I pushed the other door open and left the building. Their laughter echoed through the empty street, sharp and mocking, mixing with the rattling of bike chains. I kept my head down and walked faster, pretending not to notice, but my legs felt like lead. One of them rode in a tight circle around me, metal glinting in his hand under the streetlight. I didn't wait to see more. I broke into a sprint, heart pounding in my throat. Even with my friend beside me, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Every shadow seemed to move, every rustle made me flinch. When we finally reached Chestnut, the bikes were gone, no sound, no trace, like they'd vanished into the night. I laughed it off to hide how shaken I was, but deep down I knew that fear would linger for a long time. That's when it hit me. It hadn't just been some random prank. It was planned, coordinated. Campus security started sending alerts, but by then the group had already disappeared. No one was caught, and no one really talked about it after that weekend. Still, every time April rolls around, I can't help but remember that night and how close real danger had felt. Since that night, something in me changed. I still go out, still try to enjoy campus life, but every shadow feels heavier now. Even the short walk from the library to my dorm makes my heart race a little. Maybe they were just kids, maybe not. But knowing that strangers with guns once wandered the same halls I sleep in, that thought never really leaves. It's strange how certain memories linger, quiet, heavy, waiting for the right moment to surface. This story happened 2 summers ago, back when I was still dating Amanda. I've kept it buried for a while, not because it's shameful or secret, but because I didn't want to accidentally expose her or her family. Looking back now, I realize it wasn't just a random incident. It was the first crack in the illusion of safety I once took for granted. Every evening after her shift, she'd call me during her drive back, talking about the kids, the chaos, and how the city somehow made her feel more alive. I remember teasing her that she was turning into a city girl, and she'd just laugh it off. One Friday night, though, she didn't call. Her phone went straight to voicemail, and for some reason that silence felt heavier than usual. What stood out the most, though, wasn't the house itself, it was how empty it often felt. Her parents were always traveling for work, and her younger brother practically lived at his friends' places. Amanda used to joke that she had a mansion all to herself, but sometimes when I visited at night, I caught her glancing at the dark hallways, like she wasn't as alone as she thought. She told me about how wild those camp parties could get, music blasting, people swimming, drinks flowing until dawn. I didn't think much of it then. It just sounded like harmless fun. But that night felt different from the start. The air was thick like a storm was building. Even before everyone arrived, Amanda kept checking her phone, frowning at messages she wouldn't let me see. That weekend, the house felt emptier than usual. Not just quiet, but cold, like no one really lived there. Amanda moved through it like a guest instead of a daughter. The more time I spent with her family, the clearer it became affection was currency, attention was performance. They measured love in favors and control. I didn't say it out loud, but something about that house always made me uneasy. To be fair, maybe I judged too quickly. Her dad really was a decent man, someone you could talk to about anything. But that night wasn't about him, it was chaos in the best way. Music blasted through the speakers, lights flickered, laughter filled every corner. For a while, it felt like summer itself had come alive. Then there was Pete, quiet, awkward, and just a little too interested in everyone else's conversations. The moment Pete walked in, something about him just threw me off. He had that kind of energy that filled a room, but not in a good way. Too loud, too smooth, too confident. Watching him lean closer to Amanda, laughing like they shared a secret, made my stomach twist. I didn't want to cause drama, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he was testing me, seeing how far he could push before I'd react. It worked better than I expected. Pete's confidence started slipping with each drink, his words slurring and his swagger fading. I played it cool, pretending to be his new best friend, all while keeping an eye on Amanda across the room. The more he drank, the less attention he paid to her. I wasn't proud of the manipulation, but at the time it felt like the safest way to protect what was mine. The plan was going smoothly for a while. Pete was laughing too loud, stumbling a bit, and I thought victory was close. But then he suddenly got quiet, that uneasy kind of quiet that doesn't belong at a party. He stared at me, eyes glassy but sharp, like he'd just realized something. "You trying to mess with me, man?" he asked. The music kept playing, but in that moment everything else felt painfully still. Amanda wasn't amused. She rolled her eyes and stormed off, muttering something about me being childish. I followed her into the kitchen trying to calm things down, but she was already fuming. "You embarrassed him in front of everyone," she said. "You think that's attractive?" I didn't have a good answer. I just stood there realizing that my little victory had turned into a lose-lose situation. The cool night air hit me like a reset button. I could still hear the muffled music and laughter from inside, but out there everything felt calmer. I leaned against the railing, watching the glow of porch lights flicker across the yard. That's when I noticed something strange movement near the tree line at the edge of the property. It was subtle, almost like someone trying not to be seen. As I got closer, my heart started pounding. The figure didn't move or react, which made it even creepier. I called out softly, "Hey, are you okay?" No response. My curiosity mixed with unease, but I had to know who it was. Step by step, I moved toward the shadowy figure, the quiet night amplifying every small sound. It was probably the liquid courage that pushed me forward. I don't think I would have approached otherwise. "Hey, can I help you?" I asked, trying to sound friendly but firm. The figure took a few slow steps closer before halting. I could tell it was a man, but the darkness obscured any distinct features, leaving only a shadowy silhouette that made my stomach twist with unease. He didn't answer my question. Instead, he asked, "Are your parents home?" The words caught me off guard, not just what he said, but the way he said it, as if he already knew the answer. Before I could reply, he repeated the question, this time mentioning Amanda's parents by name. Knowing he actually knew them sent my unease skyrocketing into full-blown suspicion. I lied and told him my parents were inside, even though a part of me suspected he knew I was lying. I hoped that bluff might deter him from whatever he had planned. He nodded slowly, said okay, and then turned to walk away, leaving me standing there uneasy but relieved that the immediate tension had passed. I expected him to head to a car or another house, but instead he walked straight down the street and disappeared into the darkness. I tried to watch him as long as I could, but the shadows swallowed him up. It left a strange feeling in my gut, but I pushed it aside and went back inside, eventually finding myself in the basement playing ping pong with a few other partygoers. Amanda had a pool table upstairs, so most of the crowd was up there, leaving the basement quieter. I wasn't in the mood to be my usual fun social self, so I enjoyed the calmer space where conversations could actually be heard. At some point, the doorbell rang. At first, I didn't think much of it, assuming it was just another late guest arriving for the party. This was a party, after all, so people coming and going wasn't unusual. But something in my subconscious kept nagging me like I was missing something important. As I stood there mindlessly hitting a ping pong ball, it hit me. Amanda had instructed everyone to enter through the back door, which didn't even have a doorbell. The sound of the front doorbell suddenly felt very out of place. That meant someone had come up to the front door, which wasn't supposed to happen. I excused myself from the game and headed upstairs, knowing I was probably overreacting but needing answers. As I walked past Amanda's room, I noticed she was passed out on her bed, completely unaware of the chaos around her. That's when it hit me. I was probably the only somewhat sober person left in the house. I turned off Amanda's bedroom light and gently shut the door, trying not to disturb her. When I got to the front door, a girl named Bella was standing there. I asked if she knew who had rung the doorbell. She was belligerently drunk, so getting a coherent answer from her was about as easy as getting one from a squirrel. That girl was also pretty brain-dead sober, which didn't help matters. Eventually, she said that there was some old guy at the door who claimed to be a family friend and needed to return something he borrowed. In response, I yelled, "You let him in." She just shrugged and walked away, presumably to go spin the roulette wheel on which random guy she would bring home that night. I ran upstairs to Amanda's parents' room and my worst fears were confirmed. Drawers were pulled open, jewelry boxes were empty, and the closet looked like it had been ransacked. That guy had robbed them. I figured he was already gone. The jewelry boxes were empty, the drawers were ransacked. It looked like he had taken what he had come for. I was about to head back downstairs when I noticed something move in the mirror on the back of the door. It was just a quick shift, like someone ducking out of view behind me. I turned around, but I wasn't fast enough. The guy tackled me before I even saw his face. He knocked the wind out of me as the two of us hit the ground and I couldn't breathe. The guy started clawing at my shirt like he was trying to rip it off of me. With all the strength I had, I managed to push him off, but it was more panic than strength. He got up and sprinted straight across the room, dove out one of the open windows, and landed on the roof with a thud. I ran to the window just in time to see him drop into the side yard and take off running. I didn't chase him. I wouldn't have been able to catch him anyway. I just stood there trying to process what had happened and catch my breath. The damage was done. He was gone, but the encounter took its toll. I didn't want to stay up any longer and chaperone everyone. I didn't want to be the guy to kick everyone out either, though. So I actually called the police and told them to help me kick everyone out. Most of the local officers knew Amanda's family, so it wasn't like they were going to arrest anyone or do anything drastic. The cops came and kicked everyone out, and I secretly thanked them for their help. Once the cops cleared everyone out, I stormed downstairs, grabbed Pete by the shoulder, and practically threw him into reality. He gagged, muttered something incoherent, and stumbled toward an Uber. The next morning, Amanda finally dialed her parents, breaking the news. Their fury could have melted steel, yet Amanda just shrugged, scrolling on her phone like nothing had happened. I stood there, half in disbelief, half wishing I could vanish. She had always been rebellious, shrugging off rules and authority like they were trivial. Her parents didn't even call the police. With no cameras and the house seemingly safe, they thought it wasn't worth the hassle. I still wonder how the intruder knew they were away. Part of me suspects he knew them somehow. Looking back, that night exposed more about Amanda than I ever expected, leaving me both unsettled and strangely fascinated. Her indifference, her carelessness, it was all a red flag I should have noticed earlier. Looking back, every small sign now seems glaringly obvious. Hindsight, as they say, is 20/20. That night wasn't just about a break-in or chaos, it was a lesson about trust, awareness, and the subtle truths we often ignore until it's too late. Thank you for staying until the end. If the dark didn't scare you away, maybe you belong here. Subscribe to Night Whispers and let the darkness find you again next time.